Hello, good evening, viewers. This is the Health Show again. We're here for another live stream. Today, we are discussing a very interesting topic, and that is female circumcision. Sorry for the mix up. All right, so I don't know, female circumcision is still a thing. Then we have our intellectual guest with us, Pharmacist Hope and Pharmacist Fupe, and both of them are going to be joining us in discussion around female circumcision. Now, the funny thing is that we are talking about female circumcision, but we don't have any females around here. However, you can join us from wherever you are. If you have any comments, drop your comments in the comment section. And if you feel that you would like to join us in any of our sessions, leave a comment below or you contact any of our guests that you see here, and they will directly link you up to the admin of the show, and you can tag along with us subsequently. So now, let's go directly and immediately to the reason why we're here. Female circumcision. Dr. Hope, can you please explain to us in what they call plain or layman's English what it means, what female circumcision means, so that just picture us like we are market women and we are selling tomatoes, and you want to explain to us the meaning of female circumcision. How do you explain to us? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ezekiel, for the opportunity. So, female circumcision is otherwise known as female genital mutilation. Now, when we say female genital mutilation, what are we talking about? In a layman's language, it has to do with all the procedures involving either a partial or total removal of the female external genitalia. When I talk about genitalia in simple words, in a layman's language, I'm talking about the private parts, especially the ones that have to do with the reproductive organs. So anything that has to do with mutilation, altering, trying to modify what God has already put in a female that will aid in reproduction, that is what is known as female circumcision, otherwise known as female genital mutilation, in abbreviation FGM. And it can also constitute other injuries that might be done to a female genital organs for a non-medical reason. Take note, underline that word. It is always for a non-medical reason. When it is a medical for a medical reason, it is no longer female circumcision, because then there must have been something that has triggered it. There must have been an underlying issue. For example, if a woman has underlying conditions such as cancer and other things that may predispose her to organ damage that may lead to a total or partial what's it called, extraction of a particular organ, removal of an organ. Now, suffice to know that it is mostly carried out on young girls who are between infancy and the age of 15. That is the most prominent people that female circumcision is usually carried out. And it is usually carried out in most setting, most rural setting, as a form of either religious or cultural practice. And I want us to understand as our viewers today that no matter how it is done, no matter the pattern with which it is carried out, it is a total violation of girls and women's rights in all ways. It is a violation of their fundamental human rights, which includes the right to security, the right to health, and the right to dignity. It is a violation of their fundamental human rights. And it has no health benefits. That's another thing we should know. It has no health benefits. So there is nobody that will say removal of a female genitalia by way of circumcision is a way of improving our health benefits. It has no health benefit. Rather, it even causes some health problems such as severe bleeding, also known as hemophilia. What is it called? It's also, it can lead to urination, excessive or painful urination in women. It could also lead to female developing cysts later in the future. For the viewers that are not medically inclined, when I'm talking about a cyst, is a form of a growth, an external growth that usually occurs in a female reproductive system. It could also lead to infections, yes, including tetanus and others. So these are just to mention a few of the complications. In the long run, it could also lead to complications during childbirth and also risk of death in newborns, and even the woman herself is at risk of death. So all these are just to mention but a few. So that's like an overview of, in a layman language, of what female genitalia mutilation (FGM), otherwise known as circumcision, female circumcision, entails.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Pharmacist Hope. Thank you for that little expose. So I believe my listeners and viewers out there can gather one or two meaning from the definition that Hope has given to us. Now, um, back to my guest, Pharmacist Hope. What is the social implication of this female circumcision? Although Pharmacist Hope called it female genital mutilation, but I would like to stick with the topic, female circumcision. What is the social implication of this?
Okay, good evening, my Farm Ezekiel and Farm Hope, and good evening, my listeners. So, I'm Farm Ope. So, basically, I would like to talk of the social reasons for female circumcision, also known as female genital mutilation. So, well, I come from a part whereby it's and we've tried our best to put awareness and on the eradication of this condition or this issue. So, firstly, I would say fear of being rejected as an individual or as a female. Yes, there is also the likelihood, the perception of peer pressure in this kind of issues. We also have the marital fidelity. There are some instances whereby it's like a marital right to perform. Uh, that's why we also have challenges on this. There's some religious background, there's some traditional rights whereby women have to definitely undergo the process of female circumcision to make her be a woman as it seems to be. Then, I said earlier, the fear of being rejected. Then another one is financial incentive. Yeah. Uh, I know there's a part of our state whereby women that undergo such processes, they are usually awarded some incentive, be it cash, be it good. Then another reason for this, another social reason is the ability of an individual to improve sexually. Although this is a misconception, but those are also a social reason why women undergo female circumcision. There are some women that tend to, if the process of this, during the process of this, you'll be able to perform sexually. Your sexual performance will be increased, will be high, in you can stand all those kind of conceptions. So those are also one of the issues. Then another thing is, let me make respect to the men. Like as we have a men, that is the male circumcision. It's also a way of cleansing the boy. So there's also a social reason that believes that yes, as it is to a man, so it is to a woman. There's that aspect of yes, the girl child have to cleanse after birth. So those are also some circumstances that surround the female circumcision. Then I also like to talk about another one which include punishment. I There are some parts of Nigeria that it's difficult to eradicate it totally, but there are some parts of Nigeria that this is practice. And if a female in that particular community doesn't undergo this, there is a form of punishment awarded to such family. There's even such as bullying, beating, and even stigmatization. That's the ability to feel among as a female. Those are social reasons.
All right.
This
So thank you very much, Pharmacist Ikpe. I want to quickly clarify one detail while you were speaking. You mentioned sexual increased sexual libido. Are you saying that this occurs in circumcised female or
uh,
uncircumcised female?
in uncircumcised female, there's this perception whereby having undergone female genital mutilation, that's the female circumcision, there's this perception that you'll be able to last long sexually. That uh, let, permit me to use the word, I go withstand sex, I go withstand 3 points, all those kind of things. It's a form of perception, mm, although it's not clinically uh,
Proven.
like should I say,
It's not
it's kind of
clinically proven. Yeah.
proven to 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 be that. So it's a perception. That's why I call it that. It's a perception that belief that with that you can last longer.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you from where. But I just quickly want to drop a question for Hope. Um, Dr. Hope, why
Yeah.
do people see female circumcision as a taboo, while male circumcision is not seen as a taboo? I'm sure every one of us speaking in this video must have been circumcised at one point in our life. But why is female circumcision seen as a taboo and the male is not seen as a taboo?
Okay, it's very simple. You see, when I know you would say religious, but I think I always try to go back to whenever we study science, you cannot take away the invisible creature of God while He was making humans. I think I always like to check whenever we consider medical conditions. I always like to check what was God's original plan when He made this thing, and what have science altered or medicine, and what have they not altered? Where have they gone wrong? Permit me to reintroduce myself for most of us. I know I skipped it the first time. My name is Dr. Hope Onyemaechi Vision, and by God's grace, I'm a doctor of pharmacy currently practicing in Nigeria. Now, the thing is, God's original plan for us when He created man was for us to go and multiply, right? Now, along the
Yeah.
line, when a secluded tribe of Israel were God's own people, God gave an order, and the reason why He gave that order for His own people was a way of recognizing them that there is His own called people, and that was the law of circumcision. And the order was specifically for men. Underline that part. You can find that in the book of even Genesis too. Now, it was specifically for men, and the reason where apart from identification, it also has health benefits. One of the health benefits is that it makes that part healthier, the private part, the genital organs, in a way that when a man, because naturally, for me I'm going to use some very good terms so that we get the message. I'll be able to drive
No,
it home.
no problem. It's okay.
Good. So when a man is being born, a male child, if you look at the genital organs, you will notice that there's usually this flap that covers the external part of the penile region. That's the penis, the glans penis. Now, in circumcision, what they try to do is create an opening whereby when the child, while the child is growing up, there will be an opening that can to the urethra that can allow both urine passage and also the passage of semen, which enables um ejaculation that will eventually lead to fertilization and of course reproduction, whereby you have a zygote, a child. Without that, you cannot have reproduction. That's the original way God has designed it. Now going forward, God has already designed that of females in a way that naturally it is self-arranged and it is self-sustaining. Like most ladies that come to our pharmacy and they try to find out certain reasons for certain infections, it's because they do certain practices that alter what God has already created. An example is dutching, where they try to improve. the texture and the original design of their genital parts. Now, God has created that of females in a way that it is self-cleansing and self-arranging. Little wonder how everything will happen through there and they will still give birth through that part. It's already arranged by God. It was a perfect plan and God was the ultimate engineer. But now what we see today is that in some cultures, some people will say no, this lady, if you leave it. And this thing, I told us earlier that they have religious and cultural implications. Because when it is done for one child, people will assume that it is so for every other person. And these things are they are facilitated and motivated by myths and fallacy that okay, if you leave this child not to be circumcised, this female child, she will be wayward and she will end up going to the world to be a slave queen or a prostitute in quote as the case may be. So the only way to reduce sexual orgasm or libido is by mutilation of that sex organ, which is otherwise known as circumcision. Permit me to say that was not the original plan that God has, and that is not medically proven to be correct. Because when you do that, you try to not only alter what God has created, you also try to reduce the human. In every form, it is a violation of their fundamental human rights because it could lead to maternal death, human's death. It could lead to increase in infections. It could also lead to complications such as when the woman is bearing child. You get because naturally it also leads to decreased sexual pleasure because their rights they have equal rights as well as men have to enjoy sex. They also have equal rights to enjoy sex. So why reduce that of the woman because you feel that if you don't do so, she'll be wayward. So you want a situation whereby a husband and a wife are trying to, you know, have sex and are trying to procreate, and the woman is not feeling anything. In that case, it's more or less equated to rape. It is no longer pleasure. So that is what circumcision does. It reduces the feeling, the sensitivity of the human genital organs
Okay.
because the part that is being excised is the labia majora and those other the clitoris part, which is responsible for sensitivity and feeling of the human's pleasure. So in all ways, it's a violation. For men, it is very correct because it helps. It is medically beneficial, but for females, there are no health benefits. It is rather harmful, very harmful and a violation of their rights.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Hope. Now, before I move over to pharmacies affair, I have a follow-up question for you. Hope. You mentioned that it's reduced sexual pleasure, circumcising the female, right?
Yes, I
Yes.
did.
Okay. Does that imply does that not serve as an importance to curb maybe promiscuity or randomness among female folk? What do you think?
No, it's not. Permit me to use a general pidgin term that they always say, who go spoil, go spoil. Who go good, go good. It's a popular saying. And it goes a long way to tell us that you can only force a horse to the stream to get to that stream, but you can't force it to drink water. While we were growing up, there was this practice of parents always locking up children in the house. But then ask yourself the ultimate question: do you follow these children to school? Do you follow them to other places? And some of these parents that also lock children at home also fight to make sure that their children also go to boarding schools. This is a school that the child is going to be alone at the mercy of other children. And you find out that these children they grow up to be very, very wild creatures. The truth is that no matter how you do it, eh, no matter how you do it, a child that will be promiscuous will be promiscuous. Reducing the feeling self, you are even giving the child more reason to go and explore. So yeah, since
Okay.
this one is not working, let me see other ways that will work. And that is what is bringing out newer methods that people are trying to increase feelings. You hear of other external facilitators that females now use to increase pleasure. I wouldn't want to go into that deeply, but we know that there are other things now. Nowadays in the market itself, we have vibrators, we have other things. These are some of the things because they feel that the natural one they get from their man or from their husband are no longer sustaining. So they need other methods that would increase it. So I think rather than focus on reducing their libido via circumcision, I think we should focus on moral moral upbringing to reduce decadence. I think that's the basic thing that we should focus on.
All right, all right. Thank you very much. Famukpe, can you please just run down in a few sentences before we start taking questions from the comment section? We have a few comments in the comment section for our speakers, but I want Famukpe to simply address um, um, now. What if religion? Famukpe, this question is directed to you. What if religion? We have understood the scientific implication of female circumcision. What if religion actually supports this? As a pharmacist or as a medical trained medical personnel, what do you advise to your clients when they come seek your advice? Their religion is telling them to do this, and then scientifically we have understood that it's not acceptable. So what do we do? What do you tell them?
Well, first, I tell them the complications of this. There are long-term complications which they may see
Can you please
towards.
highlight those complications for us?
Then we have immediate complications. The one at during the process of circumcision. We may have severe pains, which very severe pains. There may also be excessive bleeding, which may not be controlled properly because these processes are done traditionally, not medically. So they are done traditionally locally. So there may be a problem of excessive bleeding. There can be also urinary complication, which may lead to shock, which may even lead to infection. An example, just like the tetanus. And due to the hygiene state of the condition, most of the time it's not practiced in a place whereby the hygiene state is 100% or 99%. So this can also even lead to shock and death at the end of the day. I've, I've heard of a case where even a traditionalist was arrested because of this condition, which led to death. So the immediate complications are very severe. Then the long-term complication, that is where there may be the urinary tract may be compromised. There are some people that still have painful urination. People that have this female circumcision, they still have painful urination. They have painful menstrual cramps. They have vaginal bleeding, discharge, itching. All these they are prone to infections. So there is also risks of having keloids due to the area which may be cut, keloids, scar. So, and there's also some physiological problems. Some patients do suffer from depression. Excuse me, depression at the end of the day, low self-esteem, anxiety, even post-traumatic stress disorder. So those are complications, including complications during childbirth. So it's for the individual to weigh immediate complications, long-term complications, and the female complication. So,
Okay.
some relief.
So to my question, to my initial question, what would be your advice?
So, well, the thing is, as Hope said, you can't force a horse. Human beings are, should I say, we are sometimes rational, sometimes we are also irrational. Our advice, like I'll tell them, pick the good part. Since there is no medical benefit for this, there's no need for that. There's no need for that. In fact, as I'm telling you, WHO, it's even, I think they made it so compulsory that there is a revolution in elimination of this female genital mutilation. So
Oh,
there may be laws that may be handed against you if you undergo this, both the individual and the person performing it. So the main thing is that it's wrong. It's totally wrong to do that. Yeah.
oh, all right. Thank you very much, my speakers. I appreciate. We have a few questions in the comment section. Um, although this is not a question, this is a comment. First comment is from Chukwuemeka Ibianu. He said, "What makes genital mutilation okay, but female genital mutilation wrong?" That is, why are we saying male circumcision is okay and female wrong? I don't know if it's a gender, if it's a what they call those people, feminists who want equal rights for equal male and female. But I don't know. I don't think that's the point. But I don't know if any of our speakers can answer this. But I think we've answered this during the course of this session, saying male circumcision
Okay.
actually helps improve resistance. Sorry, persons who are not circumcised stand a chance of getting infected and make it more hygienic. I think Dr. Hope mentioned that if I'm not getting it right, just quickly correct me there.
Yes,
Why is
another
male
thing
why is
to
male circumcision
facilitate
okay and female
prevention.
not okay? Yeah, please, Hope, can you please address that question?
Yes, you've already mentioned two. Hygiene
Yeah.
purpose, one. When I was okay, let me give a real life situation. When I was in boarding school, I attended a boarding school. There was this guy that was just circumcised. My God, the day we entered bathroom together because it's a public bathroom that everybody used. Everybody was irritated. Like it's not hygienic to start with. Everybody was irritated. You get in pidgin English, they will tell you. Then when I used to listen to people in the village when they do, it, they will say, "Na to make am fine. If not, you no like am." You get if woman say am, you no like am, you no wan near the man. So that's the first thing. Hygiene purpose. Secondly, is for purpose of procreation. Imagine there is a pipe supposed to supply water to a full community and somebody somewhere while the water is being pumped, somebody somewhere holds something and covers the pipe. Do you think that water will get to the final source? It won't. So that's
No.
exactly what happens in this case. There is an external covering naturally. It's a kind of uh, fleshy part of it, more like a flap that covers it. So what male circumcision does is that it helps to remove that part. You get. If you even look at like somebody I've seen a question here, somebody rightly said circumcision is in the Old T, that's Old Testament. But suffice to remind yourself that in the New Testament, when even Paul referred to some people, he used that word like you uncircumcised. That's to show you that it was recognized as a form of being chaste and being what was it called? Sound of it. So actually circumcision actually gives that this thing. It helps, it aids in reproduction and it helps for faster procreation
All
and
right,
it
all right.
reduces chance of what's it called? Infection or infertility.
All right, thank you very much. You already responded to the next comment. Say
Okay.
circumcision is in the Old
I'll
Testament.
like to add to
Meaning,
that.
okay, okay. Go on, Famukwe. Hello, Famukwe. You signal to speak.
I, I, I also like to add to that. Well, yeah, I think Genesis 17:10. The person should look that up. They talked about male circumcision. There was not anything mentioned about female circumcision. The thing is, we humans we try to if something works for A, that's for the opposite gender. The Definitely it should work for this other gender. So we try to create our own laws, which is natural. I've not read of a place, even in the Bible, where they made mention of a female circumcision. It has always been male. To tell you that the first surgeon was God. So the male circumcision is it's the oldest, one of the oldest surgery. So we should always believe that this is the natural. Then we humans will try to deviate from the natural, making it yes. If there is men's circumcision, there should be women's circumcision. So that's where I guess that's where the issue is. So and check the health benefits. There is no tangible health benefit.
Okay. So circumcision is in the Old Testament. That's our next question. In the New Testament, it is condemned. He cited the book of Acts as so. I think this person is just trying to make a point. but I think that's been addressed by Pharmacist Hope. The next question says, um, male circumcision desensitizes the male genital by 80%. I don't know if any of our speakers can quickly check that up if that is accurate. Desensitizing the genital organ by 80%. Infants' male circumcision should be discouraged. It ought to be permitted at the age of 18 and above. Right. So while we move on to the next comment, I don't know if any of our speakers can quickly confirm if that
Yeah.
statistics is accurate.
Yes, I was actually waiting for this particular question. The truth is that that
Okay.
statistic is not so correct. You get it's before now that people were having this. The only reason why it will be correct is if it is not done properly. So
Okay.
let me rephrase the sentence. Male circumcision, if not done properly, desensitizes the male genital organ by 80%. And that is why male circumcision should not be done by quacks or clowns. It's not anybody, you as a mother, you can't just suffer and give birth, carry a child for 9 months. And after dropping that child, you just carry it to anybody, you just carry anything. I've seen where they circumcise a child, and omo, there was one that I saw, the tools they brought, it was as if they wanted to build a house. Tools to use on a child's genital. I think as the mother, you still have a right. You are the one that gave birth to a child, and so we should to an extent be able to coordinate what happens to your child. You get, so it should be done by an expert in that field.
All right.
You get, so when it is not properly done, that's when it desensitizes the male genital organ by 80%.
All right.
Otherwise, it leaves a lot to be said too. Since people are now arguing that if you leave the female home, they will turn to, in quotes, prostitutes and harlots. What do you now have to say about the male home if that's the case? So you see that that fact is not actually 100% correct.
All right.
So
All right. Thank you.
Then
Thank you
I
very
also
much.
like
So, okay,
to
Pamukpe, yeah.
that circumcision it shouldn't be encouraged at adolescent age. It should always be encouraged at infant. In short, neonates. Even the Bible says 7 days, so it shouldn't be up to even 10 days. So circumcision should not be encouraged at adolescent age. Those areas are very sensitive areas, whereby these are wounds. Mhm. Scars have to be done in those areas, so it heals over time. It should not be encouraged at adolescent age. Always at neonates.
All right.
That's my.
All right. Thank you very much for that input. So, I'm going to take the last comment. He mentioned the complications are almost identical for girls as for boys. I believe Thomas Hope has addressed this, and he told us about the fact that um, the complications are not the same, especially if done properly uh, done properly for the boys. For the girls, we know the effects. The effects has been mentioned severally during this podcast. If you are just joining us, you can easily check playback and see what has been mentioned about female circumcision. So, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for coming to the show. I appreciate your time. If you are here for the first time, you can just subscribe. If you have any question, you can ask on the comment section. And if you wish to speak to any of the speakers or even the host, me, you can ask on the comment section, and I will drop a contact link where we can we can um, we can discuss properly, and we can even have you live on the show. So I think while I was talking, a comment just came. It says circumcision should be banned on all children, irrespective of the gender. So I guess from Azub and from where both of you have job, you have more work to do. Somebody is saying circumcision should be banned on all gender. So I guess we're going to have more enlightenment about this, and we're going to have more sessions about this too, to actually throw more light on the whole circumcision process. And then maybe we have a nurse, a midwife, or a nurse present with us to give us the surgical process of what actually takes place during circumcision. So thank you very much. I will let our speakers have their closing remark. From where can you give us a closing remark on this topic?
Yeah, I just want to say some few lines. Is that male circumcision Yet, no circumcision. No. So that's all I.
All right, all right. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Hope, can you give us a closer?
Okay, as a way of closing, I think the thing is just the same principle that occurs in the case of what God has joined together. Let's no man has put asunder. I think it is very wrong for us as humans to put laws where there are no laws. I think despite the fact that we do a lot of science and we do a lot of all research and all that, I think we should not forget that God is the ultimate engineer, and when He has created, He always has a motive behind doing everything He does. Just like what happens, I think I'm hoping someday we'll discuss about body enhancing. You get, I'm hoping someday, because the truth is that when God creates people, He doesn't make it.
It doesn't make
He actually has something
he
in
has
mind.
something in mind. He has
Yes, He has a purpose
yes, he has
for
a
wanting
purpose
people to be with
for
that.
wanting
So when we
people
begin
to
to
be
all
back.
part of
So when we
begin to
begin to
defeat
all
what
part
God
of
has. So at the end of the day, it is deviating from His plan. I think circumcision for males
so
is 100%
at the end of
ideal
the
if
day,
properly done, 100%
it
advised.
is
For that of females,
deviating
we have seen that there are
from
no
his
health,
plan.
so
I
they should be
think
discouraged. I think I'll rest
circumcision
for now here. Thank you.
for males is
All right. Thank you
100%
very much, everyone.
if
I
properly done,
appreciate your time.
100%
Thank you.
advised.
If you're here
For
for
that
the
of
first time,
females, we have
kindly
seen that
subscribe.
there are no health
That you get
so they should
notification
be
when we are
discouraged.
having our
I think
next
I'll rest
episode,
for now
when
here.
we post
Thank you.
our next
All right.
content.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
I appreciate
See
your time.
you
Thank you,
next
everyone. If you're here for the first
time.
time,